I'll try to keep this as brief as possible. Just over a week ago, my wife gave birth to our first child. I got called about it during work and rushed to the hospital to be with her during the labor. It was obviously a very stressful time, as it took more than 15 hours from start to the end, but finally our little one was born and was healthy. I was in the room for nearly the entire time, other than briefly heading out for food, toilet etc., holding her hand and being the punching bag as she swore during certain times during the worst of it. As it was getting towards the end, just as the head was coming out, and it all happened very quickly from then, more medical staff came into the room and I am someone who gets nervous around lots of people. I think because of that nervousness, I was talking a bit more, introducing myself to the new people coming in, making jokes, saying I hope it's not a bad omen that the weather is so bad, because a thunderstorm had started outside that we could hear, and then when our baby finally came out fully, at that second, I made the Age of Empires 2 New Villagers sound as a joke. It was. But I think only my wife understood the reference, as the doctor and nurses gave no reaction, and the look she gave me could have sunk 1,000 ships. She looked so angry, before then seeing our little one and finally smiling, but didn't look at me for about half an hour, and even then she was really annoyed for the rest of the day. Anyway, I thought it was a joke that went down badly in a moment of high anxiety, but my wife has twice in the past week told me that I ruined a moment that she hoped would be one of the best in her life. I've apologized both times, but she has this look I've not seen before, something beyond disappointment. It's really put a downer on the past 9 days of what I thought would be our happiest time together, after what was obviously a very stressful time, for her mostly, of course. Ida, my wife intentionally got pregnant when I didn't want more kids. I'm going to divorce her. My wife, 43F, and I, 46 meters, have been married 10 years, and have 3 boys. Our lives are very busy with work, kids, extended family, house projects, etc. I love my wife immensely, and long to have emotional and physical intimacy, even just kisses, hugs, hand-holding, whatever, with her. However, for most of our marriage she has been completely focused on the kids, so we really only have a co-parent/roommate relationship. Of course, I understand this. The kids have to be top priority. But for the last 8 years or so, if there's not a kid in our bed at night, then my wife is in a kid's bed with them. I try to get them to sleep in their own beds, and encourage her to sleep with me alone, but it's rarely successful. I've made it very clear to her that I do not want any more kids. I'm more than ready to get our relationship back on track now that the youngest is school age. I'm also exhausted and overwhelmed all the time with everything on my plate. I can't and don't want to add another kid to the mix. She, on the other hand, longs for a 4th baby. We've gone back and forth so much, but I am adamant that we should just enjoy the 3 we have. My wife is on birth control and has always made it a point to have an alarm set so she takes it at the same time every day. She is still trying to work on me to get me to agree to another baby, so I can't schedule a vasectomy yet. She brings it up at least once a day. Well, she told me a few days ago that she's pregnant. She's so happy, and I'm devastated. She won't even consider termination. I love my wife so much. She's a great person. And I know in the end I'll love this baby. But now there's no end in sight to this overwhelmed, exhausted, emotionally lonely life. Also, I'm realizing that these last few months she's actually initiated sex several times, which never happens. I can't help thinking that she got pregnant on purpose. She wanted it so much, she wasn't going to just give up. It would be in character, I suppose, for her to just do what she wants. I hate to say it, but she does disregard my feelings on things quite often. And she knew there's nothing I could do about it. Would I be the asshole if I told her I want a divorce? My kids are my life, and I don't want to leave them at all. But I feel like our marriage is not going to get any better. I've asked her to go to marriage counseling several times over the years, but she refuses every time, saying we don't need it. And now I've kind of lost trust in her. It would break my heart to do this to the kids, and I don't know if my feelings are worth doing it over. Please tell me if I'd be the asshole here. Edit. To be clear, if we divorce, I will push, as hard as necessary, for 50-50 parenting time and joint custody for all the kids. They are my #1 priority in life. I just don't know if my lack of emotional fulfillment in our relationship, my wife's general disregard for my feelings, and the other marriage issues are worth tearing the kids' worlds apart. Edit number 2, because everyone is saying it, I didn't wear condoms because we never have, and if I suddenly started she'd have accused me of not trusting her or become suspicious. And if I'd have just gone and gotten a vasectomy, she definitely would have been angry and felt betrayed. I was trusting her. I proposed to my wife on a meaningful day, but my fiancé doesn't think so. Using a throwaway so it cannot be found by people I know. I 42M, have been with my fiancé 24F, for 5 years. She used to work at a restaurant I went to frequently, and I used to only go just to see her and would often go alone. It's a very cute story because I had a schoolboy crush on her and pulled all the old tricks to get her to go out with me. We started to date and I proposed to her recently on her father's death anniversary, which I thought would be meaningful and take the bad memories out of that date for her. I also knew that during that day she is extra sentimental and emotional, so she is more likely to say yes and we would have a beautiful moment together honoring her late father's memory. While she ended up saying yes, the following week she changed her demeanor and was very distant with me. She is not usually like this, as she is very agreeable and shy, which is why I fell for her in the first place, but she was growing hostile and often disagreed with me on things she usually agreed with. We currently live with her mom, 48F, as I lost my job due to conflicting political beliefs with my previous job, as I could not afford to pay rent at my old home. I am not currently seeking another job due to the fact that I sprained my ankle last summer, and my industry is very physically demanding. Ever since the engagement, her mother and her have been very cold to me. Her mother stopped making my meals, and my fiancé is basically ignoring me. During dinner one night that I had to order in, I could not hold it anymore when I finally broke down. I, regrettably, raised my voice and asked why they are icing me out. They look at each other, yet another way they always exclude me, and explain they found my proposal manipulative and not done right as it fell on an important date in their family. I explained to them what I explained here, and my fiancé started crying. I felt very guilty in that moment, but stood my ground. Reddit, am I the asshole for proposing to my fiancé on the anniversary of her father's death? My wife was cheating on me when she got a heart attack. I was in my office when I got the call that she is being taken to hospital. I rushed there as fast as possible. She was already being prepared for operation. My friend, I don't know if I should even call him that. He was there. He was talking to a nurse and he had really frightened face. I went to him, ask what happened, and the nurse pulled me aside. She asked me how I know him. Once I told her, she said they have informed police just as precautionary measure. I was completely baffled. I was then informed she was unconscious and half naked when they found her. They assumed it could be case of SA and informed police. I didn't know how to process all this and asked him what he was doing with her angrily. I had little outburst and he just kept quiet as I screamed at him. I was then taken to a different lounge and had time to settle. Soon police arrived and questioned him privately. They then also took my statement, in which I made him out to be creep. In my mind, he was assaulting her when this happened. I gave statement to make sure he gets his dues once it's proven. They didn't take him into custody or questioning, so I was little surprised. I didn't know anything about police process, so I focused on my wife. After my wife was back from operation, I was allowed to see her. She was sedated and I remember feeling guilty as I held her hand and felt her heartbeat. It was the happiest thing for me at the time. She was very droogy when she woke up. I was teary. I fucking hate how detailed I remember this. Her eyes opening and adjuating to light. Her first time opening lips to speak, her first tired sound. I told her it's not her fault. She was not gathering anything. I said don't think about anything now. After she was fully awake and well, police came to take her statement. I had to wait outside, and when I went in she had red eyes and was having difficulty to speak. We came home, and after I was told she has risk of getting another heart attack, I decided to never ask her about it. It was still bothering me that guy was still roaming free. I went to police station and I was told they have no reason to go after him. They also denied me any details of wife's statement. Angrily I went to his house. I was pissed and I again yelled at him for being a piece of shit. I thought my wifey forgot what happened before the heart attack and therefore there was no evidence to arrest him. His wife started abusing me and I told her he tried to rape my wife. She was shocked. She slammed the door in my face and I left. After 2 months of the incident, I managed to ask my wife what happened before heart attack. She was silent. She didn't say she forgot. The dread was coming and I knew it was what I had never considered. I was so afraid to confront her. I talked to him and he said yes. His wife forgave him, but I can never forgive either of them. I just don't want to be reason for her death and live this marriage when possible. My youngest son slept with his brother's wife. He passed away and I didn't tell him. Ida? Info. My youngest slept with his brother's wife. After my oldest found out, he and his wife got a divorce and my youngest married her a year later. My 56M, oldest son, 33M, had cancer and passed away 3 weeks ago. Over the months leading up to his death, my youngest son, 30M, and his wife had been trying to reconcile with my oldest, but he always made it known that he wanted nothing to do with them. He specifically told me that they were unforgiven, and he wouldn't forgive them just to ease their guilt. When I kept bringing up the idea of reconciling, he used to get mad at me, so I stopped trying. I just kept telling my youngest and his wife that they had to accept that he wanted nothing to do with them and they needed to move on. When my oldest passed, I did not tell my youngest or his wife to honor his wishes. He always made it clear that they didn't deserve to mourn him in life and didn't deserve to mourn him in death either. About a week ago, my youngest saw his brother's obituary and called me, screaming for not telling him that his brother had passed. He told me that I denied him the opportunity to make things right and that I should have told him his brother passed. I told him that it would be disrespectful for him to even come in the first place, as his brother wouldn't have wanted him there, and that he and his wife denied themselves from attending. He hung up on me and blocked my number. My wife told me that she feels guilty for not telling him and that we should have given him the opportunity to say goodbye to his brother. I told her that I would just find it disrespectful of us to do so, as he made it clear that he didn't want them to come. She told me that she understands, but she's upset that our youngest is mad at us and that we should just try to put everything behind us to heal. I told her that what our youngest did was unforgivable, and I was not going to allow him to disrespect his brother in life and in death as well. My wife has been crying constantly because our son blocked us and she started blaming me as well. I'm hurt, but I don't regret what I did or even see what I did wrong. I feel like my youngest should just take accountability of his actions instead of blaming everyone else.